Welcome.
No, you don't need a keyboard. Oh, hello chip dippers. Welcome to another Quick Bytes, a retro recipe without the bells and whistles. Thank you. Now, in a recent recipode, I showed you the incredible Commodore PET Mini, the brainchild of Lorenzo Herrera. But I got a lot of comments saying, great though it was, wouldn't it be even greater if it had a really teeny tiny little keyboard that actually worked? Thank you. And of course that would be better. And you may have seen the recent recipode by the 9-bit guy, oh his are just episodes, where he created a full-size replacement keyboard for the Commodore PET and for the Tynemouth software Mini PET project. And of course he did that with the help of Kevin Williams from TechSelect. And Mr. Guy mentioned, that's his name, right? 8-bit guy? Yeah. There's some company called PCBWay, excuse me, had helped him out with that project. Although he said it wrong, he just said PCBWay. Now, I actually helped out a little bit on that project too behind the scenes and worked with him, Kevin, and PCBWay to get the PCBs to him within 48 hours, all the way from China, no less. And today it's PCBWay! I'm not going to do that every time. PCBWay to the rescue again, and Puppyfractic, because would you believe some talented chap called David Stephenson, aka ZX81 Keyboard Adventure, has indeed created a teeny tiny little keyboard for your Commodore PET. But first, just an important message. I don't usually get serious on this channel. Can I just say it is fine to be fans of Puppyfractic? As you can see, she's getting a bit shy that I'm even talking about it. But please do respect our personal boundaries. We actually had a fan show up at our house the other day. Not cool. Actually, it was quite cool. Yeah, it's been hot here recently, which is why she's flopping a bit. All joking aside, let's work on our other PET Mini, see how cool that is. Now, for how to build the actual PET Mini computer, you can refer to my previous video. But what can we do to adapt that build and use a keyboard? Well, it turns out these diminutive KMR431G surface mount TAC switches are just about the only thing that would work. Even then, it's not really possible to get a full PET keyboard into that space. However, you may know about the Educator 64. This was essentially a Commodore 64 in a PET case. And it was sold mainly to classrooms, making it possibly the best game-playing computer ever seen in schools. Lucky you if you had one at school. But the big thing is, of course, being a Commodore 64, it has less keys. And because Lorenzo's PET Mini design is essentially the same as the Educator 64, it should be possible to put a C64 arrangement of keys in there. First, here are the PCBs from PCB. I said I wouldn't do that. From good old PCBWay. Way. I can't help it. And again, they arrived 48 hours after I ordered them with the express delivery option, turning up on a Sunday no less. And it's a great option if you need quality PCBs in a hurry. And as you can see, David's designed this daughter board to sit on top of the Pi. And as we saw in that recent recipode, these GPIO pins on the Raspberry Pi connect to the tiny little flat screen display. But we'll need the pins for the keyboard too. So this breakout board allows both the screen and the keyboard to connect neatly to the Pi in that small space. It just piggybacks on top of it. And here is the keyboard PCB itself. Now this version has no keycaps. We'd be getting into crazily small 3D printing detail in that case, but maybe something for the future. But for now, David has designed these printed legends on the PCB. And with some additional PCB styling here, we get the impression of a full spacebar. Also, this separator between the main keyboard and the function keys implies the existence of the metal or plastic case shroud that you'd get on the real Educator 64. Now, just to be clear, this isn't a device that you'd want to write your next novel on, although my novel, The Chrononaut, is available now at perryfractic.com. But yeah, this is really just one of those projects that we do because, well, why not? I think doing something just because you can is a lot of fun and a great way to explore the retro computing hobby. So with that said, it's time to solder on those teeny tiny little switches to our PET Mini. Where do you want them? I could put one there, one there? Okay, put one there. Thank you. Okay, that's a good start. So while Puppyfractic goes and finishes the soldering, It's time to consider how we're actually going to interface that board with the Vice emulator running on the Raspberry Pi. Well, the answer lay in the pages of MagPi magazine. Now, this is a very cool mag with truly impeccable taste for content. And in issue 67, PJ Evans, not sure if he was in his PJs at the time, well, he explains how to read a Spectrum keyboard and inject the key presses back into the Pi's Linux kernel. How do you get back here? And long story short, David adapted that Spectrum code and used some software libraries and keyboard scanning code to get everything working. And as we noticed, Puppyfractic did get back here somehow, which means the keyboard is done. All that's left now is to connect that keyboard to the Pi. Now we need 17 free GPIO pins to read the C64 keyboard matrix without using complex multiplexing. Multi-complexing? We need 8 data lines, 8 address lines, plus 1 more for the restore key. And the Raspberry Pi has 28 pins. Good, right? And the screen and audio, they take up 11 pins, leaving 17 free. Perfect. Apart from one snag. See, we need 2 extra pins for the serial access, leaving things literally too short. Too short. That's fine. But as luck would have it, you can disable serial in the Pi's boot-up file, config.txt, and we don't really need serial access, so that brings us back to 17 pins. Gotta find where those kids are hiding sometime. So here's a little look at an earlier attempt, and now here's the latest version with that daughter board installed and wired up correctly. The pins connect to the Pi here, up into the daughter board, which then splits off the data that goes up to the screen here, and also the data that comes down from the mini keyboard here. And this is the keyboard in place within the case. It's just going to need a couple of support shelves underneath it to keep it steady. And after a few finishing touches and putting everything back together, it's finally going to be time to test out that tiny little keyboard. All the info you need for this build is in the description below, along with a link to PCBWay.com. And thanks again to them for helping out with this project. We'll be back soon with another delicious retro recipe. Until then, thanks for watching, subscribe and join below, and cheerio. So how do you think the filming went? Think we did okay? Yeah, I thought your bits were very good. Thank you. You're washing my face. No, I don't have any makeup on. No. Okay. So I particularly like. Oh, you're wagging your tail now. You just wanna cuddle. Okay. How are you gonna cuddle me on the floor?